Hey, what's up guys? Today's video is part 2 of the collab that I'm doing with Nate the Blade Maker. First video we made that amazing knife. Today we're going to make a matching ring to go along with it. So we're going to be making our own marbled carbon fiber for the inside liner. And on the outside we're going to be using a carbon steel just like on the knife, and then we're going to parkerize it to turn it that amazing black silky smooth color. We'll also distress the bevels on the ring, that way it'll perfectly match the knife. So today we need to make our own carbon fiber because the carbon fiber we used for the knife handle, the patterning on it is too big. When you make a ring that's so small, you're not gonna see that cool patterning. So we're gonna do it ourselves using a much finer grained carbon that will give a smaller texture, a smaller pattern. That way you can really see that cool marbleized look. So if you didn't know what carbon fiber normally looks like, I'm sure you've seen it before, it's just a fabric of actual just 100% pure carbon fibers. So that's all it is. You put it together, you stack up sheets of it, and then you infuse it with resin. But that'll just give you kind of the more traditional look. We're trying to get that cool marbleized look. So we've got shredded carbon fibers, very fine. What we're going to do is we're gonna mix it with a little bit of my astrotech resin, and then we're going to put it in this mold that also kind of doubles as a press. I've got little like perforations on this top plate here. So we'll mix this up. The goal is to use as little resin as possible. The more resin you have, the weaker it's going to be. You want the strength of the carbon. So we want it to be almost pure carbon. So we're going to mix it with just a little bit of resin and then throw it in the mold. And then on top of that, we're going to use clamps to squish this down, and it's going to squeeze any excess resin out. We should be left with a really nice, really sturdy bar. That process is gonna be a little bit complicated. From there, it's gonna be really straightforward. We'll use the carbon fiber for the liner and then the steel for the outside. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, step one, I gotta mix up some resin, so I'm just gonna weigh out equal halves here. Now once it's mixed, I've got about 30 minutes of working time before I need to have my mold set in place, so it should be plenty of time to do everything I need to do. Now once it's mixed, I'm going to throw it in the vacuum. This is going to get rid of all of those bubbles I introduced into it while I was mixing it. So you can see it foaming up here, and the bubbles, they begin to collapse. Eventually we're left with a crystal clear liquid. This isn't totally necessary because we're going to be using pressure by clamping down that top piece, but it should help at least a little bit. Now it's time to mix the resin with our carbon fiber shreds, and remember what I was saying earlier, we do not want to use a lot of resin. So I'm using just the minimal amount here. I put on some gloves and I'm just working the resin into the carbon fibers. Eventually I get it to the point where it's almost kind of like a paste. Now here it is, ready to go. It looks like it's a little dry, but I promise you, if anything, there's too much in here. Looking back, I would have added less resin, but that's okay. We were able to squeeze out all the excess. I just didn't need that much. It was just a little bit wasteful. And even though it looks like I've got a lot going here, once I was able to fully compress it, it actually turned out being a little bit thinner than I had hoped. It was just thick enough that I was barely able to make the ring work, but if it was any thinner, I would have had to start over. So it looked like I was using too much, but I'm glad I used how much I did. Now I'm just pouring off the excess resin into a waste cup. This makes it a lot easier to take the mold apart once the resin cures. Now while we're waiting for the carbon to cure, I'm going to go ahead and get started on the outside of the ring, which we'll make out of this carbon steel. So I'll throw that in my bandsaw. I'm just going to cut off a slice and we'll start machining it. Now typically I wouldn't use a carbon steel for jewelry because it can have problems with corrosion, but we're going to parkerize this, which is an extremely durable, really nice satin black coating that we're going to put on here, which will completely eliminate that problem and leave us with that awesome black finish. The black finish not only looks really good, but it'll also completely eliminate any problems with oxidation. So I'm just getting the blank trim down here. I'm getting the inside diameter how I want it and making sure that both the left and right edges are parallel to each other. All right, now I'll trim and shape the outside diameter, so I'll throw it on one of my expanding ring mandrels. And then once I get it to the outer diameter that I like to sand it first, and then I can go in and add the bevels. This allows me to not do any sanding after this point, and I won't round over the edges on the bevel, making the ring look a lot more professional just with those crisp, nice sharp edges. All right, that's the outside shell of the ring finished. Now all we got to do is worry about the carbon fiber liner. So after a day of curing, we're ready to take the piece out of the mold and start machining it. Now to cut out the carbon fiber blank, I'm going to be using my Patrick Adair Supplies diamond hole saws. Whenever you're working with carbon fiber, you want to use abrasives as much as possible. That'll give you much cleaner, much smoother cuts. So I'll just select the sizes I need, and then I'll get the piece clamped down on my drill press. Then I'll go ahead and do both the inside and outside diameter. Also note, this whole time I've got really good ventilation and I'm wearing a really good dust mask. You do not want to inhale carbon fiber at all. All right, the blank's ready to go. It's looking great. I'm actually really surprised with how nice this homemade DIY carbon fiber worked out on the first attempt, but it's looking great. We're ready to go. So I've got it on my expanding ring mandrel. We're machining it down, getting it to size, and we should be ready to combine it with the other half of the ring here pretty soon. Now to combine the two halves, I like to wipe everything down with alcohol. That gets rid of any contaminants or grease. And then I use my CA adhesive and I put it underneath my arbor press here and I just force the two halves together. All right, we're getting really close here. Just got to go ahead and size the ring and then we'll sand and polish it. And then the last finishing step we have to do is that parkerizing step. All right, so we're back at Nate's shop for this step. He's got the magnesium phosphate solution, which is what we need to do the parkerizing. So we've got the ring all cleaned off yet again. We're going to be dunking it in this almost boiling liquid. And you'll see as we put it in, those bubbles start to rise up. As soon as those bubbles stop, that's when we're ready to go ahead and take it out. All right, now just some quick finishing touches. We're gonna give the ring a distressed look. All right, here it is. Really like the way this one turned out. Such a cool, just super stealthy, all black look. And I know it's a really subtle feature, but those distressed edges where you can see the shiny metal poking through, I just love that look. I think it makes it match and go with the knife so perfectly. The way the knife and ring look together is just so satisfying. And that was kind of the idea here. Both the ring and the knife are meant to be the perfect everyday carry items. The ring, super lightweight and comfortable due to the carbon fiber, but it's also super durable. So as you know, carbon fiber, super strong. The steel, that's very strong. And then that parkerized finish, that's gonna make sure the ring looks great even through a bunch of abuse. And then same thing goes for the knife. It comes with the awesome sheath. It's just perfect to carry around with you every day. Very lightweight, very, very strong blade. If you watch the knife video, you'll notice we did a cement drop test, dropped it straight right on its tip onto the cement, and that was after it was hardened. So an extremely awesome pair. This was so much fun. I just want to give another big thank you to Nate for working with me on this project. You guys should follow him on Instagram, and you guys should go convince him to make a YouTube channel. I think he would do so well, and the talents that he has, it's just a shame that he's not sharing them in video form. So anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you're interested in purchasing the knife and ring set, we'll have a link to that down in the description. We did everything we could to make this set as affordable as possible. The idea is that it's just a really sensible knife with a really sensible ring to go along with it. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.